Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome back to my channel, my loverlies. If you've never been here before, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I am so happy you found me. I do so hope that you will like and subscribe before you leave. Become part of the Mama family. Mama's got your back, at least when makeup's concerned, and definitely when that makeup is cheap. Nothing we love more than a good bargain. So today is True Love Tuesday, one of my absolute favorite videos to film every week, and this week's couple is one of my all-time favorites. Really just Hollywood royalty, the epitome of a long, happy marriage in Hollywood. They really have made it work, and it's really quite incredible. Today we're talking about Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, two of my absolute favorite actors in all of Hollywood. Goldie Hawn is just like, she is my idol. I love her vibe. I love her spirit. She is so fun and bubbly and carefree. She's effortlessly sexy. She's just quirky in all the best ways. I just love her so much. I have loved like every single one of her movies. We're going to talk about a couple of them in today's video. And then you have Kurt, who is just bad boy with a golden heart, those big blue eyes. He's the only man other than Billy Ray I think can rock a mullet and look sexy doing it. I just love them together. I think they're so perfect together. And I think today's video is going to be so much fun. So sit back, relax, let's chill out. Let's hang out for a little while. Let's talk about some love stories. Make sure you have a big old glass of sweet tea. Make sure you have a snack. Make sure that you are comfortable, and let us dive in to the true love that is Goldie and Kurt. Today we're going to do this really beautiful, super simple eye look. I'm going to use the Beaute Falling For You palette. I purchased this off of BoxyCharm. I paid around $7 for it. I think it's worth that all day long. This is a really fantastic palette. Again, like the name suggests, it's perfect for fall, but I just love the yummy warm tones in here. They just make me happy. Warm tones are my happy place anyway. And they're just so beginner friendly and so easy to use, but they give such a beautiful impact on the eye. I love it so much. I'll give you guys a close-up of the eye really quickly. Very simple kind of eye. I love it so much though. My eye is watering, so I do want to give you guys a close-up of it before my tears wash it away completely. Look how pretty that is. I love it so much. Super easy to do. Y'all, I always get so wrapped up in the stories that I tell you that I almost never ever like actually finish the eye. So I chose something super simple today. So maybe I'd be able to finish the look at the same time I finish the story. Fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. But I'm just going to dive right into it. I already have my eyeshadow primer on. I am still using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Rose eyeshadow primer. I like it. Not my favorite, but it's all right. It works. And we're just going to dive right into the story. A little backstory. Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell have been in 5 films together. Their latest is the Mr. and Mrs. Claus movies that were a Netflix special. I haven't watched those movies, but I do have Netflix now, so I'm excited to watch them, especially come Christmas time. I love them together anyway, and I think it'll be a really super cute movie. So they were in the Mr. and Mrs. Claus. They were in Overboard, of course. They were in the first film that they filmed together was the one and only, this is the weirdest movie title I have ever read. It says The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band. That was in 1966. This is when Goldie and Kurt first met. And actually, Kurt is 5 years younger than Goldie. Now, I don't know why that's such a big deal, because 9 times out of 10, the man is at least 5 years older than the female. That's like commonplace for us. But the fact that she's a little bit older than him is just kind of like, right? It's so weird, but not really. She's so young at heart, I feel, and she's got such a young and free spirit. I feel like the fact that she's with a younger man is kind of perfect. Needless to say, 5 years is really not that big of an age difference, so it doesn't matter, but I felt it was worth mentioning. So he is indeed 5 years younger than she is. They met in 1966 on the set of The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band. That movie title, I'm telling you. They did not start dating, though, at this time, because when they met, Kurt was 16 and Goldie was 21. Now, I know 5 years is not that big of an age difference, but when you're that young, when you're 16 and she was 21, it seems bigger when you're younger. for some reason. So 16 really is just a baby. And at 21, you're just kind of like getting the groove of your adulthood. You're really just kind of figuring out who you are. And she said that when she met him the first time, she said that he was absolutely adorable, but much, much too young for her. And that's okay. But they did end up meeting up again a couple years later on the set of Swing Shift. Now that was in 83, so 60. That's a good long while later. But they met up next on the set of Swing Shift. I've never seen this movie before either. I feel like I've seen everything with Goldie Hawn in it, and yet I have not seen either one of these movies. So I feel like my movie buff badge has just like gone down a level because I don't know what I'm talking about. But they met on their second film in 83. I, of course, have my little notepad over here, so I tell you guys no lies. We want nothing but the truth, the whole truth. So help us, Lord. So they met on the second film. Before this, though, Goldie had been married twice, right? So at this point, she's been married and divorced twice. She has 2 children. So her first marriage was with a guy named Gus. And I don't know too awful much about him, but everybody knows her second marriage. Her second marriage was with a man named Bill Hudson. In this marriage, she actually produced two children, Oliver, a boy, and Kate, a girl. We all know Kate. I think Kate is so much like her mother. It's incredible. She has that same very bubbly, just kind of carefree, kind of almost hippie vibe. I love Kate Hudson so much. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, one of my absolute favorite films of all time. I think she's stunningly gorgeous, effortlessly beautiful, effortlessly sexy, just like Goldie. Love it so much. Did you know Goldie Hawn was a showgirl when she was younger? I thought that was pretty nifty. I actually saw her picture of her in like feathers and stuff, you know, like the classic kind of showgirl costume. Oh, she looked beautiful. But yes, she was like, I don't know if she was like a showgirl or a go-go dancer, but I believe it was in the 60s, and she just had like this like classic 60s makeup on. She was made for 60s makeup. I'm telling you. I know that's not what this is about, but oh my gosh, you guys have to look her up, look up that picture. Oh, it was just perfect. She just looked so perfect. She had this really kind of like pixie face and super short hair. She looked absolutely adorable. So at this point, she's been married and divorced twice, has 2 children. Kurt, on the other hand, has been married and divorced once. He was married to a fellow actress named Susan Hubley. And with her, he had 1 child named Boston, a boy. So when they meet on the set of Swing Shift for the second time, they instantly kind of hit it off. And a year later, they have their only child, Wyatt Hudson. Now, guys, if you don't know who Wyatt is, he's actually an actor as well. And I've seen him in, I don't remember the name of the movie, but he is just absolutely adorable. I'm going into this color and just putting it on the transition area. But he's absolutely adorable. He looks very much like his daddy. He looks like Kurt, but he's got his mother's big, like blonde. He's just absolutely adorable. You guys definitely need to check him out. He's a little cutie. So they have their son, and in 87, so they have their son in 86, and then the next year they film Overboard. Now, we have to talk about Overboard for a minute because it is legitimately one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely love this movie. Talk and work at the same time. So in this movie, if you've never seen it, you definitely should. In this movie, she plays this very spoiled, rotten, rich lady, and he is a backwoods redneck carpenter, right? And she hires him to build this giant shoe closet on her yacht, right? And during the building of this shoe closet, she hits her head, she falls into the water, and somehow he is called to come pick her up from the hospital. She has total amnesia, has no idea what's going on, and because she was such a turd to him while he was building her this closet, he decides to take revenge on her and says, oh, well, she's his wife, and brings her back to his home and basically turns her into his maid. He makes her clean the house and take care of his very, very crazy, wild boys. I think he's got, how many boys did he have in that movie? I want to say 4 or 5. There were a ton. Anyway, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely love it. And on this, on this movie, it's like what they're best known for, right? Everybody knows Kurt and Goldie from Overboard. So they film Overboard, and it's a smash hit. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not missing anything. So of course, Joanna and Dean, Goldie plays Joanna and Kurt plays Dean. So in the end, they end up falling. She gets her memory back, and they end up falling madly, truly in love with each other. And she comes and lives with Kurt, and they are a family. Beautiful, beautiful story. Love it so, so much. But after they filmed Overboard, Goldie filmed in 2002. No, okay, yeah. So they filmed Overboard in 87, and then in 89 they both they presented at the Oscars. Now, one of the biggest things about their relationship is the fact that they actually never got married. Now, I assumed, like I'm sure so many other people have, that they were married, and they're not. They've been together for over 30 years. They've been in 5 different films together. They've raised 4 children. They have 7 grandchildren, and yet they have never gotten married. And actually, Goldie and Kurt have spoken about this quite a bit. And I'm going to read you a couple of quotes here in just a minute. But as they're presenting the Oscars, they actually joke about it, because I guess people gave them flack for not being married. And as they were presenting the Oscars together, he actually got down on one knee and looked like he was going to propose, right? And then pretended to pick something, like he had dropped something. It was a big joke. And then, Goldie made a face, and if you're curious, definitely look it up. I looked it up, and it was hilarious. But they made a big joke about it. And honestly, neither one of them ever really wanted to get married. And I think part of that is because they both have failed marriages. Again, Kurt was only married once, but then he was divorced once as well. And then Goldie was married twice and divorced twice. So I think that they really just didn't want, they didn't need it. They didn't want it. And the quote that I'm going to read you guys here in just a minute is going to make the why of that a little bit more apparent. So in 89, they present the Oscars. And then in 2002, Goldie films Banger Sisters. Now, y'all, if you have never seen this movie before, please, for the love of the Lord, please go watch this movie. So in this movie, Goldie Hawn plays she's kind of an aging roadie, right? They used to follow bands across the country. Just really, really kind of awesome, right? And then it's also got Susan Sarandon in it. Now, Susan Sarandon is another one of my all-time favorites. I freaking love her so, so much. We might talk about Susan Sarandon in a video coming up here in the next couple of weeks, because when I read this and read about Banger Sisters, it just brought the movie right back to me, and I just love that movie so, so much. It's so good. You definitely need to watch that movie if you like rom-coms and things like that, movies like that. I think Banger Sisters is definitely something worth watching. Such a great movie. But after she filmed Banger Sisters, she kind of took a break. She took a break from Hollywood, and they really focused on raising her children. Now, Kurt continued to work. He made films like, I'm reading off my thing. He filmed Miracle, Sky High, Furious 7, Deepwater Horizon, things like that. So he continued to work, but she kind of took a break and really focused on raising their children, which I think is so very, very refreshing, because a lot of times actors will rely on nannies and things like that to raise their children for them. And Goldie always made a point, both Goldie and Kurt always made a point to really, really be so present in their children's lives. And I think that's so important, not only to build like a bond with your children, but also to raise secure, well-adjusted adults, you really have to be there. Your children have to know that they're loved. Your children have to know that they're wanted. So they did indeed do that. And I thought that was really, really great. So as she's taking a break, he's still working. And then in 2003, Goldie Hawn actually opened her foundation. And her foundation is called it's the Hawn Foundation. And it focuses on providing kids with social and, emotional learning programs to help them, be better, well-adjusted adults. And I think that's so important, especially, like I said, with children with parents who are like impoverished, or there's so much that children need in order to become well-adjusted adults. There is so much attention and time and love that is necessary to raise a child correctly. And sometimes parents don't have either the ability or the access to resources to really be able to make that work, especially in inner cities where parents are usually having to work 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet if you have a single parent family or things like that. So I think her foundation is so, so important. And she actually has helped so many young people with scholarships and tools for higher education and things like that. So this goes to show you that not only is she a fun and beautiful person on the outside, but she is a caring and loving person on the inside too, which I think makes her so much beautiful as a whole. So, so gorgeous. I had no idea that she had a foundation. And when I learned this little tidbit of information, it just made me fall in love with her that much more. So I'm taking a smaller crease brush and I'm going into the shade Pinecone, which is just a really beautiful deep rosy chocolate brown. And I'm just putting that right into my crease, focusing it mostly on the outer portion of my crease and about 3/4 of the way through, and just kind of buffing that out. So in 2003, she starts her foundation and starts to help kids really thrive, right? Now, this is the quote that I wanted to read to you guys because I thought it was so fun. So Goldie says, this is Goldie on marrying. She says, "We have done just perfectly without being wed. I already feel devoted, and isn't that what marriage is all about? So long as my emotional state is in a state of devotion, honesty, caring, and loving, we're fine. Independent money raised children well, did a great job, and didn't have to be married to do it. We both have our own independent money. We raised our children well. We did a great job and didn't have to be married to do it. I like waking up every morning and seeing that he's there and knowing that I have a choice. There's no reason to marry." And I think that is what the biggest thing for her was, is she wanted the choice. And I think that's part of it for him as well. When you're in a marriage, and especially when you've had a failed marriage. And not only that, but at this point, she's had 2 failed marriages. And I feel like I've said, Goldie is such a free spirit. I feel like her marriages didn't work because she felt trapped. And I think that quote really kind of says it all. It's a choice. And I couldn't agree with that anymore if I wanted to. Loving someone is 100% a choice. I wake up, like, my husband and I are married. We are married. But loving each other is a choice. It is a choice that we wake up every day and make over and over and over again. And so I can completely understand how it could feel like if you're married, that instead of it being a choice, it being kind of like a trap. You're kind of stuck, right? Especially if you're unhappy. So I think it says a lot for 2 people to be together for so very long and not be married, because either one of them could have left at any point in time, right? They could have just packed their stuff. Like she said, they both have their own independent finances. They were both independently wealthy. Neither one needed the other for anything. But when you wake up next to somebody every single morning and you see that they're still there, not because they have to be, but because they choose to be, I think that's so much more poignant. And I think it makes sense. It makes sense to me. And I understand why they never got married. So then in 2008, Kurt launches his wine label. Now his wine label was named Gogi. It's Gogi. Now I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, but I think it's Gogi. I think it's Gogi Wines. And Gogi comes from a nickname that he had when he was a child. I just took a little bit of this black shade. This is called Chestnut, and I'm just focusing this right on the very outer corner of my eye. And that comes from a nickname that he had when he was a child. And Kurt is apparently very, very into wine. And again, that makes sense. So he opened his wine, of course, in California. And he opened not only his vineyard, his label, but he also opened a wine tasting room. I think, what was it called? The wine saloon, for tasting his wine, and that it was a passion project for him. Really, really loves his wine. And of course, Goldie was there right beside him, supporting him the entire way. And then after 2008, they just kind of did their own thing. And then after that, I believe that they just kind of took a step back for a little bit, enjoyed their children, enjoyed their grandchildren, enjoyed their family. And then another quote is from on Making Love Last. It said, Goldie said, compatibility and communication. Both have to want it to work. Intention is the key, but don't lose yourself in each other. Be together, two pillars holding up the house and the roof, but be different. You don't have to agree on everything. Then learn how to deal with disagreeing. Everything is a choice. I think it's so eloquent and so well said. And I agree 100% with everything she said. So first off, she said compatibility and communication. Now I think compatibility is easy, right? Liking somebody, getting along with somebody, that's not the hard part. But communication, I think, is the hardest part of being in a relationship. I know my husband and I have been together for 11 years. And I know that still to this day, communication is something that we struggle with hardcore. And I feel like that is because women and men just think so differently. Women and men, our minds just don't work the same way. And because of that, something that a woman thinks is just kind of like common sense is going to go right over a man's head. And then she said, you both have to want it. You both have to want it to work. And that's 100% true as well. Nothing is going to happen. You guys are not going to be able to grow together and learn together as a couple if you both don't want to learn and grow. And you have to both have to want to learn and grow in the same direction. That's how people split up, because one person wants this and another person wants that, and there's no commonality there, right? She said, be together, two pillars holding up the house and the roof, but be different. You don't have to agree on everything. Then learn how to deal with disagreeing. And I think that's fun too. I think that's so true too. Every couple argues, every couple fights. Nobody is freaking perfect, right? No relationship is going to be perfect. So one of the hardest things, and again, it's akin to communication. One of the hardest things to learn in a relationship is learning how to fight. It's learning how to argue. A lot of times you can say things, a lot of times people tend to take things just too far, right? You say things that you can't take back. The knife cuts too deeply, and sometimes you say things that can't be forgotten. And I think, like she said, it is super important to learn how to argue. You have to learn how to figure things out, and you have to learn how to disagree without, going for the gut. You know what I mean? You have to be able to talk to somebody and get your point across without absolutely decimating the other one. I think that's so smart and so true. Anyway, I know it's something my husband and I still work on. We always when we fight, it doesn't matter how mad you are, you have to make sure that you're not saying anything you can't take back. Because I tell you what, nobody knows how to hurt me. Nobody knows how to cut me deeper than that man does right there. And nobody knows how to cut him deeper than I do. It's because when you love somebody, you know exactly what buttons to push to blow their top. And then learn how to deal with disagreeing. 100%. So then on May 4th, 2017, they were finally awarded their stars on Hollywood Boulevard, the Walk of Fame. So they actually got side-by-side stars on the Walk of Fame, which I thought was so incredibly cute because, you know, they're so close anyway. And the fact that even their stars are right next to each other, I thought was absolutely adorable. So in 2017, they got side-by-side stars on the Walk of Fame. And at the ceremony, I had to read you guys this quote because I thought it was so, so beautiful. So at the ceremony, Kurt said to Goldie, "To you, I owe my wonderful life. Simply put, Goldie, I cherish you. All the stars in the sky or the boulevard couldn't hold a candle to that. There's no one else I'd rather be next to." And now, not only is their love immortalized in cinema and in the hearts of all of the people that love them, but now their love is also immortalized on the Hollywood Walk of Fame because their stars are right next to each other. Guys, I thought it was so, so super cute. Let me know, do you guys love Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell as much as I do? I don't think that their love story is the most romantic or maybe necessarily exciting love story that I've told, but I do think it is quite possibly one of the most relatable. I feel like even though there's such even though they're such incredibly big movie stars, right? And even though they're both incredibly successful on their own, I think the fact that they, at the end of the day, just behave like real people, I think a good love story has excitement and love and all of that good stuff, intrigue. But I think a good love story also has to be relatable, right? You want to be able to see a little bit of yourself in that love story. And when I was researching them, I really saw so much of just like the everyday person in. Can't do eyeliner and talk at the same time. I really saw so much of just like the average Joe in their love story. I just thought it was so special. It wasn't full of big grand gestures. And I love that there was no cheating. Seems like everybody in Hollywood cheats, and these guys didn't. Oh, and that's another thing. In all of the research that I did, it never said anything about infidelity. And that makes me love Kurt Russell even more because he never cheated. Not that I found out anyway. He never cheated on Goldie, which is so rare because even with Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, even he was, he was I want to say infidelity, but he wasn't faithful. He wasn't faithful to Katharine, which kind of made me upset because they loved each other so much and he couldn't keep it together long enough to not cheat on her. But never once has he cheated on her. Never once has she cheated on him. And they raised all four of their children together. Very, very hands-on parents, which I think is rare as well. And also, the night Goldie said that the night she fell in love with Kurt was the night that she took him home to meet her children for the first time. So this wasn't their first date, but it was the first time that she had taken him home to again meet her children. And Goldie has said millions of times that Kurt is an absolutely phenomenal father, right? So she took him home to meet her children, and when they got there, her kids were asleep. But they kind of peeked in, they shared a bedroom. So Kurt kind of peeked into the bedroom to kind of, just say hello, and actually ended up sitting on the bed with Oliver first and then Kate, and just kind of petted their hair and watched them sleep. And that made my heart melt just a little bit. the desire to be a father, the desire to be a part of a family, the desire to be faithful to someone, that's rare, guys. It's not as common as we would like to think that it is. And the fact that he did it so naturally and so willingly just completely explains to me why they have lasted over 3 decades, over 30 years together. Guys, it is a beautiful story, and it's so real, you know? Guys, I hope that you enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed telling it. These definitely are, it's probably my favorite love story that I've told so far. I know that it's not, you know, like I said, not the most exciting thing that we've ever talked about, not the most exciting story I've ever told, but there's something so relatable and something so real about them, and it just makes me love them so very much more. This is the finished eye look. What do we think? Very beautiful, very warm, very soft and toasty. I love it so much. On my lips, I have a little bit of the same lip liner I always wear. This is my NYX Professional Lip Liner. This is the Suede Matte Lip Liner in the shade Downtown Beauty. And then on top of that, I have this one. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Core Lip Shine. This is in the shade Giddy. It's just a really beautiful, bright kind of orange. But I love that it's got this really beautiful moisturizing core to it, and it's shaped like a heart. It feels really nice and hydrating on the lips. It gives you this really pretty kind of juicy shine with a light wash of color. It feels like a lip balm, but it performs like a lipstick. It's really nice. It's also got a very light kind of almost fruity scent to it, so it's pleasant to wear. Guys, I love you so very much. Don't forget to like this video before you leave. As always, no edits, no filters, no fancy lighting. It's just me sitting in front of my camera telling you guys a love story, playing with some makeup. Hoping you guys are enjoying what I'm doing. As always, I will list everything that I used in today's video in the description box below, along with all the links to my other social medias. If you guys are not following me on all my other platforms, please go do that. I really would appreciate it so very much. And until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and remember, you're important. Bye.